Then, now. Then, now. Then, now. Okay, so the difference in winter and summer is massive. So why do we even bother to go out in the winter? The fish fight harder than ever. You're more likely to hook into a trophy fish, or if you're like me, you simply got the bug. And we've decided to cover 3 waters over the Christmas holiday. So Justin and myself have decided to come here to Garnfrude for the first trip. And it's Thursday the 29th of the 12th, 22. And the conditions for the day is going to be showery, heavy showers at times, and with strong, cold winds. It was last stocked on the 17th, which is 13 days ago. So Justin and myself haven't been on this water for quite some time. For me it was last April, and Justin even longer than that. So it's good to get a bit of info, find out what the water's been doing over the last week. And from what we've found out is that everybody seems to be catching more fish on the lures and on sinking lines. But there's got to be about 20 plus people out there already fishing. So for me, I'll just sit and watch for a while, see what's going on. And I'm noticing that the majority are on sinking lines, and its chances are they're on the lures. And there's a few on the floating lines, and we can see that there's a few fishing the indicator. So it looks like they've got it covered. But as I continue watching, I'm not seeing much happening, not many fish coming out. So Justin's decided to set up with a slow intermediate, and I've decided to go with the floater. Why I decided to go with the floater is I'm thinking if there's the majority of them out there already on the sinking lines and they're not doing much, it's winter, the fish normally become more lethargic. So if I'm on the floater, I can slow everything right down. But I'll still have the opportunity to come up mid-water or even high in the water. So from the floating line, I've got a 5-foot intermediate braid and then about another 15 or 18 foot of tippet. And the flies I'm going to be using, or lures, which I'll start off with, there's a few patterns I've been working with over the last few weeks. This one, which is about 2 inches of black zonker strip, black Fritz chenille on the underbody with a red cock hackle, 4mm bead, and all tied onto a barbless size 8 hook. Now for the Damsels. Now this one I've been using for the last probably month and a half, maybe 2 months, and it has caught quite a few fish. The best thing about it is that it's only about 1 inch long, and it's all marabou. There's no flash with it apart from the bead, which is a tungsten bead, and the thorax is made up with a marabou dubbing. So these are the latest ones. Now they're about 2 inches in length, they're on a size 8 barbless hook, and again it's nearly all marabou. But what I've done is I've put a bit of a mix of marabou and the lime green Fritz, mixed it up into a dubbing, and I'm messing about with the bodies to give it a bit more of the lime green or a bit less. And the beads, again, I'm changing the colours of the beads, trying to see if one colour is going to be better than the other. So these are just in a process of trying to work them out. But I'm definitely looking at these and they just look so fishy to me. So I'll be starting with these as I'm quite keen to see how well they'll fish. And I'll fish these on a 1-fly cast. Whereas Justin, on the other hand, he's fishing with a 2-fly cast. Now normally I would take a picture of his flies at the end of the day, just to give you an idea of what he's been catching on. But on this occasion, I'd run out of battery, so I've had him send them over to me from his phone. But it does give us an idea as to what he's going to be using. Now the top pattern is what he's tied up more recently, and I don't think the total length of that pattern is going to be more than 1 inch. So his idea is to fish this one on the point and to switch the other 2 on the dropper. Now what the middle one is called, I have no idea. It's something else that he's just knocked up over the last week, and he's got them in the various colours. So Justin is fishing the pontoon right opposite me, and he's into his first fish. Now the fishing must be a little bit slow, because that's taken him about 20-25 minutes. And he's normally into the fish a lot quicker than this. He fishes hard and he moves around pretty quick. And I'm left dealing with my first wind knot. Okay, so I've just completed fishing that bank opposite me. I started on the far left, worked my way all the way down, covering each of the pontoons. And all I've had is 2 knocks, and that was in the margins. But what I'm able to do a lot more today that I haven't done for a while is fishing a lot lighter. I said to Justin when we started, all I want to do is just bring the one GoPro. I know it limits the amount of shots that you're going to get, but it does mean that I can move around a lot easier and cover a lot more water a lot quicker. But the fishing for me and for everybody else on the lake, it's turning out to be pretty slow. And then there's Justin. I think he's into about his 3rd or 4th fish already, and that's him there now, into another fish. Okay, so I've renewed my confidence, I've moved. I've also switched the pattern. I've given up on the Damsels. I've had a good few hits with them, and they're not very solid or positive, and even when I'm speeding the retrieve up to try and encourage a more positive take, just not happening. So I've decided to switch it. Now, because the visibility on the water is only about 2.5 to 3 foot, and it's got a greenish tinge to it. And I don't know if that's why the Damsels aren't fishing as good. I know if you persist with any pattern, you're going to catch the fish. So I've decided to switch it to the black and red lure. Now obviously a black, it's going to show up a bit more, and the size of it is going to give quite a big silhouette. So I'm feeling pretty confident with this. I'll obviously fish it the same, I'll try different levels. I'll start higher in the columns and working my way down. So I'm going to start by casting it out, moving it a bit quicker, and then after a while I'll start letting it drop and fishing it slower. So I've been fishing this pattern for the last 15 or so minutes, and I've had a couple of bumps, much the same as what I was getting on the Damsel, and I thought, here we go again. But then all of a sudden, the line tightened up solid, and the fish was on. I couldn't have been much more than 4 foot down with a steady retrieve when the fish hit. But it's a really nice feeling, but it's just great knowing you're not going to blank. Okay, so I've decided to switch. I'm going to get off the lures altogether. All I'm getting is a few bumps, and obviously having that one fish just now. But this water over the last week, I know has been hammered with the lures. And I think a lot of them are fishing the lures again this morning. And there's not that much coming out. But what I've decided to do is just jump to the far end of the scale. I'm going to put on the little red buzzer. Now when I fish the buzzers, I don't always fish them static. I believe all patterns need to be fished in as many variations of retrieve as you possibly can. And for me, the buzzer, I will start off, if you like, static, dead slow. And if nothing's happening, obviously I'll pick that up. Probably end up even stripping the buzzer in. I've had a lot of fish stripping it in and doing a fast figure of 8. Now I'm not sure if you've noticed, but right opposite me there on the pontoon is Justin. And he's into another fish. Yeah. Red buzzer. Just a steady retrieve, figure of 8. That noise you can hear is my braid coming through the eyes of the rod. Ah? Fucker's gone onto the pontoon. Ah, you bastard. Right in my finger. There's a heck of a lot of pure fishing today, and the water's very high. but it's really difficult. Justin's done alright, he's on 9 and probably had about another 20 hits. But for everyone on the water here, you see them all. There's a lot up here fishing and nothing much coming out. And we've only just come back up here because of the rain to have a bit of shelter. And now it's just started again. So it looks like another bit of a break and then have another go.
My big net.
Oh yeah.
There's no fly.
Yeah. Good one, mate. Okay, it wasn't too long and Justin was back into the swing of it. I was still fishing with the buzzer and I had a few chances and missed, but then Justin suggested that I use the Eladine mongrel. Now we both know this pattern works very well, so I thought before I continue fishing through with the buzzer, just to put it on, just to see what will happen. Now this pattern I tied up about a year ago when we were fishing Eladine. I was just thinking about the water and the conditions on the day and tied this up, and as soon as I put it on it started catching fish, and it's been a good fish catcher ever since.
A fly? I don't know the name of it. It's a mongrel.
Have you heard of it?
No, I just made it up now. Another one. Ooh, and again.
Okay, so back to today, and I've just had my first knock on the Eladine mongrel, but I've already decided as once I get a fish on this pattern I'm going to take it straight back off. I'm going to go straight back onto the buzzers. My challenge for the day is to catch as many as I can on the small stuff.
Oh yeah. On the Eladine. Huh? Eladine. That's it. It's a good job you're here, isn't it?
A lot of the fish that Justin has had today has been on the hang. What he's doing is he's putting his cast out, retrieving it in, and once it gets in close enough, he's lifting the rod tip up high. And what he's doing, he's more or less skating the droppers on the surface, and this has produced quite a few fish. They're picking it off the top. Now you might be wondering, why don't I just do what Justin does? Follow his lead. Believe me, I've done that, and I think many other people have done that. I've even been on the waters with him where he's dishing out the patterns that he's catching on and telling them what he's doing, but it doesn't work. It's like he's got some sort of fish sonar built in. So to give you a bit of an idea of how Justin's day was panning out and what patterns we're catching, now he did say that he was varying his retrieve throughout the day. And as I've already said, he was hanging the flies at the end of the cast, and most of the fish were coming higher in the water. Now I don't know how many fish were caught on each pattern, but he did tell me he's put them in order of how they were catching. So at the top with his mini lure, which is tied on to a size 14 hook, is what caught most of the fish. Buzzer at the bottom is a size 16 and above it is a 14. He's obviously caught less on the buzzers because it was only the last hour that he was using the buzzers. And like me, the retrieve was everything from almost static right up to a steady strip. Okay, I did carry on fishing with the Eladine mongrel for about another 10 or 15 minutes after catching that last fish, and I didn't get another knock. So I've now switched over to the buzzers, going through the box, the best of my buzzers are up at the van, and there's no way I'm going back up to the van just for the last hour of fishing. So what I've done, I've improvised. I've looked for the nearest pattern that I want, and it turns out it's a suspender buzzer. So what I've done is I've chewed the foam off and as much as the hackle as I can, and I'm left with this. Now I know what you're thinking, but trust me, when I was out on the water, this fly didn't look anything like this. Obviously with the picture taken and zooming in, you can see a lot more detail. And I got to admit, it looks a bit rough, but it didn't half work. Well, this was a first for me. Justin taking my lead. He seen how well the buzzer was fishing, so he decided to put one on himself. Now we don't know what was going on, whether the fish had come up, whether we just happened to be in the right place at the right time. But for whatever reason we were hooking in to a good few fish. And it must have been a bit annoying for everybody else looking on from across the lake. But sometimes you get a bit of luck, and as I say, just being in the right place at the right time maybe. So I was well happy to finish off the day quite strong, considering what the morning was like. I ended up at the end of it with the 8 fish. Justin on the other hand, I think he was 18. And for everybody on the water on the day, it was great meeting you.
A stripping, quite fast figure of 8 with the buzzer then.
But before we go, Justin and myself would like to wish you all a great year's fishing in 2023. But I hope you enjoyed the video. We will be back soon, as we are covering a few waters over this holiday period, and who knows, maybe those damsels will work on the next trip. So until our next video, take care.